we know private money lenders can be a great asset. Where do you find them? Like, where, if you want to go out and raise some money, private money lenders, and start meeting these folks and building the relationship, where would you go? How would you find them?
Yeah. So I always say they're hiding in plain sight. You never know where they're going to be. There's probably some in this room. They're, of course, at networking events. They may be at work, wherever at your workplace. They could be at your church. They could be at, your kid's ball game. You could be your next door neighbor. I think I've had lenders from all those scenarios, to be quite honest with you. So they're hiding in plain sight. Okay, you don't realize it. And I don't want to hop to the next question, but I kind of want to hop to the next question because they tie together. But they are in the typically the expected places that you would maybe expect them to be. Meaning you go to like a real estate conference or a self-directed IRA event like a Quest IRA event, or get the new name. You go to an event like that, they're going to be there. And then they're also in unexpected places. Just I've had random conversations with people, things come up, and just when they find out what you do, it strikes a chord. Here's the thing, like I found almost everybody wants to invest in real estate. Everybody knows, like for the most part, whether they know a lot about it or a little about it, that real estate's a good investment. However, majority of people don't want to do what we as investors do. So when they find out there's a way that they can do it passively and watch from the sidelines and live vicariously through what you do, they love it.
I call it outsourcing the headaches. So if you don't want to be the person going out there in flea-infested, flooded, moldy homes with maybe a squatter in there that has a baseball bat and is not happy with you walking around their hole, like you can outsource that to someone like us, and we'll go do all that stuff and just send you a check. Not even a check, an ACH. So, yeah. I mean, go where people with money go. If people with money go to places, go hang out there. And it doesn't have to be the exotic car dealership. Could be a good place. Doesn't have to be the suite of the Texans. Also could be a good place and probably fun too. But there's also a lot of folks, most of my private lenders are not what you would probably call rich or accredited investors. Most of them might actually have been non-accredited. They're just folks that have been blue-collar workers or nice white-collar jobs, very consistent over their career. They just got a little nest egg, and they're just trying to keep out of the stock market and into other investments. So how would you attract them?
Yeah, so that's the key word to that question, right? Is like attract. And when it comes to raising money, the word attraction is so important. So one of my biggest things is like when it came to actually raising money was when I started knowing that, like, hey, I need to raise money, the thought of like basically taking on a sales role, I was like, I hated that. And I was in sales for a brief period of time before. I was in law enforcement and I went into sales. I'm like, oh, this is horrible. And I just made the best of it. But I was like, well, I'm just going to try to help these people. Help and serve, help and serve, help and serve, help and serve. And so that was my philosophy with raising money. So what that really came down to is this, is if you're going to raise money, one, people have to know you're looking to raise money, because you can't be, like the secret agent and nobody knows what it is that you do. Like you have to let people know that you're looking to raise money. But the question is, how do you do that without coming away like being like reeking of desperation? All right, or being salesy, or trying to close and do all this typical like sales kind of stuff that most people can't stand. Or, like I just can't stand it. So it was like, how do we do that? So me and a friend of mine were collaborating. Like, man, how do we do this? And he was kind of like a marketing genius and a great mind, and we collaborated a lot. And I used to steal his ideas or borrow them that he would share with me. And it was just like, look, what can we legally do? So we were like making sure there's this organization called the SEC. So we want to make sure that we were compliant with them. We actually met with an SEC attorney, like, we want to raise money. What can we do? And like, well, you can educate people all day long. There you go. And that was our strategy, really, was like, we just want to educate people about private lending, how it works, that it even exists, because a lot of people didn't know it exists, how to safeguard themselves, how to analyze deals, how to analyze borrowers. So I would just speak and talk a lot about like, hey, here's what you need to do if you're looking at private lending, safeguard yourself. Here's how you analyze deals. Here's how you estimate repairs. Here's how you look for this, look for that. We just taught people, how to help themselves if they were looking at doing it. And inevitably it led to conversations about, can I invest with you? And I was like, yes, you can. That would be wonderful. And so it just opened up conversations. And so that has really been my philosophy when it comes to investing in terms of our marketing. We're not a big like cold call, text, all that kind of direct, like hitting them. We do a lot of like SEO, organic content, and so that motivated sellers reach out to us. That's kind of the law of attraction I've always like when it comes to marketing. Like, I like people coming to me and saying, hey, can you help me with this thing? Absolutely. Versus me knocking on their door, trying to sell them. So that's always been our strategy, is like educate. And that's why I wrote, the private lender playbook was just, here's a book so people could read whether they come invest with us or not, but like to safeguard themselves about it. And if you do that and like you just go on with the mindset of really helping people to understand, that's typically going to be way better than you going out and trying to raise money and close people. And I see it going on when I was speaking at Quest events in the beginning, and there's just like some cheesy people up there trying to pitch a deal, and they just, honestly, like, so they would be these small events, people up there and they've got a deal and they're trying to raise money, and they just reeked of desperation. And I probably reeked of desperation too. I just didn't want that to put out that vibe, right? So rather than trying to pitch a deal or whatever, I talk to people, say, here's what we do, here's how it works. If you want to schedule a time to call or me, I'd love to explain it to you if you want to talk more. So we just be very, very nonchalant, right? And that's just always been my strategy.
100%. Yeah, my strategy, very similar to that. Is my natural sales cycle is, I just want to. I prefer to attract as opposed to being like a hunter going out there seeking the sales kill. So what I would do, like you were talking about, when you go to networking events and you through conversation talking with someone, and you're realizing that, hey, they do some private money lending, like the natural instinct for especially newer investors is to vomit a deal. Like, ooh, someone's got money. Hey, do you want to loan money on this? And instantly, like you said, it's desperation. Their guard goes up. They're they don't really even know you. Guard goes up. Bad way to start that relationship. And even on a best case scenario, the likelihood that they would loan money on you on a deal, on a very specific deal that you just introduced to them, very, very low. And that's even if they're somewhat familiar with what you do and they're active, pretty smart and actively engaged. So my strategy was always talking with them, figuring out what they do, what they've loaned on before, what kind of deals they really like, what kind of deals they hate. Are they okay with $100,000 rehabs, or do they like more the paint and carpet type $30,000 lipstick on a pig? So figure out what they're interested in. Then you can go into that 60-second. Well, hey, this is what we do. We flip this many houses, usually in this area. This is kind of what we're mainly flippers. Occasionally we have some rentals. All of our and this was the key phrase I would use. All of our deals are funded right now, but if you'd like, the next time one comes up, I can send it your way and just see what you think. They'll always say yes. And then I would take it one step further. Actually, there's a couple deals that we've already done. I could send you over the executive summary just so you can get a good idea of the types of deals we do and the numbers and how everything played out. Would you like me to send that over? 100% yes. But now they got to give you their email and phone number. And that's where the relationship starts building. I didn't pitch them anything. I actually asked them if they wanted something from me, said yes, and now I can send them a prior deal. They can look at it, and then I'll start following up. And typically it would take 3 to 5 deals after that before they would even start to really get interested in loaning the deal. Most never would, but some did. And when you do that consistently, going to these events and talking with folks, you only need 3 to 5 private lenders, really. Unless you're just doing massive amount of volume. 3 to 5 private money lenders can make you very, very wealthy.
Yeah. It reminds me of a story. So 100% everything you said. And that's typically like if you're having a conversation with the lender, you don't need to talk. You need to talk very little about your deals, about yourself. And you just need to ask a lot of open-ended questions and find out things about them. What are their fears? What are their goals? Things like that.